Okay.
They will never agree that it is due to settlement, even whether it is of settlement of shuttering also.
Yes, yes. People goes on repairing their superstructure seasonally.
Correct.
Not ready to work on the foundations.
Foundation, they assume that it is always strong, sir. That is a problem.
So we use 16 ohm rod. They use Ultratech cement. We use Ramco cement. we use that type of cement. This type of cement. We
Correct.
use this much thickness of concrete. So like that.
Yes.
The reality is different.
Reality is different. Because they always assume foundation is so much strong, we have put no need of soil analysis. Why should we unnecessarily waste money on soil analysis? Soil investigation, everything is a waste of money. Normally people think.
Without blood test, how a doctor is taking history of a patient?
Yeah.
Same. Nowadays in COVID condition, even you sneeze it, okay, doctor go for the blood test.
Correct. Very true. No, nowadays there are, even masons also comes and recommend. When masons come and say that this is the foundation required, the client will think, yes, he is right. Like that.
Okay.
In fact, there are many, even in Kerala, if you see, we have seen, because we are supplying throughout Kerala, no? There are some places along the hilly areas. There are some places along, say, for example, near the shore.
Okay.
Different soil conditions are there.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
No analysis is being
done. Laterite soil and the Cochin area clay soil.
Yeah, correct.
So Cochin and all, you cannot get soil even up to 30 meters. You cannot get rock.
True.
And that is the condition in Cochin and Alleppey area.
So, I think this awareness is very much required, sir, especially to the customers also.
Yes.
Because otherwise they think that civil engineers are simply testing for the sake of testing.
Only you and me are speaking, huh? Now?
No, now I think, let me see how many of them have logged in. 72 have logged in.
Okay.
I thought even Dr. Tiruvanakarsu also would be coming, I thought. So if it doesn't come, I think we will start off within another 2 minutes, we'll wait.
Okay, okay.
After that, I will start off with your introduction and introduction of the organization for 10 minutes.
Okay, sir.
And then I will hand over it to you, sir.
Sure.
How is Arumbakam? You are based out of your office, sir, or
Arumbakam is my office, sir.
Office.
Near Coimbatore, yes. Near Coimbatore.
I am at Manapakam.
Okay, very good, sir.
Behind L&T office.
Okay. We're very near to the big player.
Yes.
Sorry.
Yeah, please.
Tirunaka sir, I have already joined in as an attendee. I will convert him to a panelist.
No, he's saying Tirunaka sir is not coming, sir. We can proceed. Oh. Yes. Okay. So shall I proceed then? I'll start.
Yeah, sure, sir.
So, good evening to the speaker of the day, Engineer A. Karthikeyan, and all the construction professionals who have logged in. In fact, this is the 4-day national webinar series, which is being organized in collaboration with Association of Consulting Civil Engineers India, Chennai Center. And we have a number of people who have gone behind this coordinating. So our special thanks to the chairman of ACC Chennai Center, Dr. D. Tirunakarasu sir, who has taken all the pains to bring in the speakers and organize this series of webinars, especially during this time. Yesterday was our first day, that is on 13th, we had the first topic, and the topic was on 3D printing technique and its application to concrete construction. So today is the second day, and we have Engineer Karthikeyan, who is going to talk about foundation failures, causes, prevention, and remedies. Tomorrow we have the third speaker, Dr. Colonel Nallathambi, who will be talking about good construction practices in RCC buildings. Tomorrow is at 11 a.m. Please note the time. So tomorrow we will have it at 11 a.m. and day after tomorrow, that is on 16th July at 11 a.m. Again, we have one more talk by Dr. V. Rajendran, who is the secretary of ACC Chennai Center, and the topic would be brainstorming session on repairs and rehabilitation. So these are the topics that we are having, and this is, as you would have seen the topics, it is based on the latest trends in building construction and maintenance. In fact, we at Ramco Cements have been organizing this series of webinars for the past few months so that we can get connected with each other. As all of you know, Ramco Cements is manufacturing 12 brands of cement: Portland Pozzolana Cement, Portland Slag Cement, Ordinary Portland Cement. Then we have the special cement for precast works. That is the Ramco Superfast, which is being used for this precast items like hollow blocks, solid blocks, AAC blocks. So any kind of precast thing, we have customized the cement, and we have the Ramco Superfast for that. And we have the sulfate resisting cement for places where there are a high degree of concentration of sulfates. And then we have the slag cement. So we manufacture various types of cement. So the basic idea is that we do not go by the type of cement alone. We try to understand the requirement of concrete. What is the grade of concrete required? What is the slump retention required? Because say if the slump retention required is too high, then we always recommend a Ramco OPC 53 infra cement. And if suppose the soil is in a condition where there is a severe condition of exposure, then we always recommend blended cement, either PPC or PSC. So that is why this concept of right product for right application, by understanding the requirement of concrete, gains that much important, so that customers understand it. So that is why we have 12 brands of cements: PPC cement, OPC, PSC, and cement for precast applications, and sulfate resistant cement. Apart from this, we have products for non-structural applications. The Trimix product, tile fix, we have block fix, super fine, super plaster, self-curing plaster, tile grout, and all that. And this Trimix product is coming from our Sri Perumbudur plant, and this is exclusively meant for non-structural applications where there is no kind of load that is coming, as all of us know. And for coordinating all this, we have a research and development center at Chennai, that is on OMR Road at Thoraipakam, where we are doing number of works on cement and concrete. As all of you would appreciate one thing, India is the second largest producer of cement in the world. And we also have the latest technology of cement manufacturing as far as other countries are concerned. But one thing that you would notice is that there are not many research centers which does studies on cement or concrete. Now, to bridge this gap, we have the Ramco Research and Development Center, where we have the latest equipments, whether it is on, say, for example, mercury intrusion porosimeter, we have X-ray diffractometer, and fluorescence. Using all those things, we have equipments which analyzes the properties of material, whether it is of cement or concrete. So that is how we have been able to bring this research center, and we have number of project customers who have collaborated with us for various kinds of construction works, like Lasnan Tubro, which makes concrete of various grades, various slump retention, ITD cementation. So when we are interacting with customers of this kind, what happens is that we are able to understand the basic needs of the customer. And apart from that, we have one ready-mix plant at Chennai. So that is what all about Ramco Group as such. And as all of you know, we are also one of the major players in the wind energy. So we as a organization, our top management thought that we need to have a better interaction with the construction professionals on various topics of civil engineering. That is why we have been collaborating with various professional bodies. In fact, ACCI Karnataka, whether it is Bangalore, Mysore chapters, have been collaborating with us for the past 14 years in celebrating Engineers Day celebration, or for that matter, various events like Redicon, recent development in construction engineering. So we strongly believe that a correct awareness of all technical issues relating to civil engineering would be useful for all construction professionals. That is why we earlier had been conducting number of engineers meeting for masons, meeting for contractors, and all that. So that was the importance of conducting so many meetings. So today we have speaker engineer Karthikeyan, who has joined us, and let me just take some time to introduce the speaker of the day. In fact, Engineer A. Karthikeyan, he is a civil engineering consultant at Chennai. He has got a lot of experience while at job as well as being an entrepreneur himself. In fact, during school days, he received award from President of India for the service in the Bharat Scouts and Guides in 1989. And then he joined as an assistant design engineer under Professor M. Chokalingam. an eminent structural engineer and former director of PSNA Engineering College, Dindigul. And thereafter, he did postgraduate, that is, he did his ME in soil mechanics and foundation engineering in College of Engineering, Guindy, Anna University. And then he presented papers in national level seminars and conferences. He participated in international conference held at various places. And thereafter, he started his own business as an entrepreneur since 2000. He is presently practicing as a structural and geotech consultant, and his career record crosses 1,750 projects, including residential apartments, schools, colleges, hospitals, hotels, temples, churches, mosques, shopping malls, industrial buildings, radio towers, earthen dams, machine foundation, rehabilitation of structures, underpinning, earth retaining structures. Other than design engineer, he is also the guest faculty for part-time BE in College of Engineering, Guindy, Anna University. He also served as visiting faculty for MArch in Hindustan University, Chennai. So he received the Best Engineer Award from various groups in the year 2017-18, and he is also a patron member of the Builders Association of India and member of Institution of Engineers, and is a chartered engineer. He is recognized as professional engineer by Engineering Council of India. What is there is that he's a member of so many this thing. He's a fellow in Institution of Valuers and Association of Structural Rehabilitation India. Other than design office, he's also running an Academy of Civil Engineers in the name of Karthikeyan Academy for Civil Engineers at Arumbakam, Chennai. So far, 15 batch of engineers has been trained and certified, and most of them have been placed in various companies. In fact, I think that is a rare combination that you will find in a professional, and it is really a noble work that he is training the budding civil engineers to be made more employable. So I think engineer Karthikeyan would have a lot of snippets from his experience. We were just discussing about how important is geotechnical engineering, from the construction point of view. So with those few words, let me welcome Engineer Karthikeyan, and as well as ACC Chennai office bearers, the chairman and Thirunakar sir, and as well as other officials of ACCA Chennai who has joined us. So with those few words, let me invite Engineer A. Karthikeyan to start off with this presentation. Over to you, sir. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mr. Anil Kumar, sir. Thanks you very much, Mr. Dr. Thirunakar sir and Rajendran sir to arrange the webinar. Yesterday was my Professor Segar's webinar. I was a little bit scared. While I was studying ME, he was handling some subjects for structural engineering. So I was in foundation engineering, but he was very strict professor those days. Okay. Fortunately, it's a webinar, not seminar. If it is a seminar, he may sit in front of me. I may get a little bit scared. But it is, fortunately, I am sitting in front of my computer only. Anyway, so I am one way happy that I am also parallelly presenting my papers along with my gurus, like Dr. ARS, Dr. Steger and all. Today, I am going to share my experience of a lot of foundation failures in which the intention of contractor or builder or the client is not to build any profit motive structure, but they did something innocently, something ignorantly, about something sometimes overloading, lot of overconfidence on the structure. So some failures we experienced. It is some theoretical backgrounds we study as well as some case studies what we experience. So I am going to share now. So let us go inside. This is the introduction about the foundation failures. Foundation is a beginning element, like an opening batsman of a match. Foundation is the beginners of beginners. Okay. So on the foundation only, even it's a single story or understory building going to rest. All floor loads come to the foundation to the structural system. Foundation shall transfer the load from the structure to the soil. Professor Ilambardi, one of my guru, he sharpened me in foundation engineering. He in class he said it's a lengthy statement, but it is plunged into my mind. Soil is a different material. Structure is a different material. Whenever, wherever two different material come and contact each other and perform together, unless otherwise proper understanding between them, there will be a problem. These lines I never forget. This is very much useful after my marriage. Soil is a different material, structure is a different material. Whenever, wherever two different material come and contact each other, perform together, unless there is proper understanding, there will be a problem. So, what is understanding between the structure and soil? That is a scenario in this presentation. How foundation fails? Everyone do the Bhumi Puja with a lot of prayers or while digging for the foundation and laying the foundation. See, foundation laying ceremony is as important as building inauguration ceremony. Nowadays, you may see most of the political leaders participate in foundation laying, stone laying ceremonies. So people are very much serious about the value of foundation in a mythological and religious way. They make prayers on the foundations, but still there are some failures on the foundations. How it happens? There are two types of failures normally happen. One is geotechnical failure, that is failure due to soil mass, failure due to the soil below the foundation, some volume changes, mostly compression, or the structural failure of the substructure, which may not sufficiently designed strong enough. So these are all the two major things for the foundation failures. Other than igneous hard rocks, most of the soil below the foundations are weaker than the structure. In structure, we are using the units in megapascal, where the soil is in kilopascal. 1 megapascal is equal to 1000 kilopascal. So structure is a very strong material. Soil mostly a weaker material. In any foundation system, to be designed in such a way that the soil shall undergo minimum deformation. When you construct a structure on a soil, definitely there will be a deformation, maybe settlement, but that should be a minimum. That should be a acceptable one. The process, there is a word called soil structure interaction, is a very important word in geotechnical and structural engineering understanding. The process in which the response of the soil influences the motion of the structure, and the motion of the structure influences the response of the soil is termed is called soil structure interaction. Okay, this is if it is properly designed, it's a mutually benefited. Otherwise, in Tamil there is a proverb: that is, due to foundation, the soil may undergo excess deformation. Due to excess deformation, the foundation may fail. Okay, so that is called interaction. Interaction means interaction should be both sides a strong understanding. This is a component of a structure. We are applying load on the mostly on the slabs, ground floor slab, first floor slab, 10th floor slab, 100th floor slab. All roof slab load carried by roof slab beams. The beams transfer to the columns. The column transfer to the foundations. The foundation transfer to the soil. These are all called the line. A single line is called isobar. Isobar is nothing but a line joining equal pressure. Okay, let us see what is isobar. Okay, this is from a famous book, Joseph Bowles. Sorry for some little unclarity. It is a square foundation, normally square footing. It's a combined footing or continuous foundation. Okay. Here, this is 0.9 Q. Q means load divided by area of the foundation. Okay, working load divided by area. That is Q. Here, 0.9 Q. That is 90% of the pressure is here. Okay. You are standing on your shoes. If I put a egg below your shoes, when you touch the egg become smashed like that here. If you put the egg here, the egg is not disturbed. It is stable. Similarly, here the soil get more stressed with respect to depth as well as the width away from the foundation. The pressure is diminishing. You may see in a colloquial way, if you go to any water body, you throw a stone, there are rings around where the stone met the water body. The rings gradually goes away and then it disappears. Similarly, when there is a pressure applied on the soil mass, then the pressure are concentrating very high below the soil mass and goes on diminishing 0.9 Q, 0.8 Q, 0.4 Q, 0.5 Q, point like that. Here at the depth of 2 times B, it is 0.1 Q, only 10% of the pressure. This is B is 1.5 B, this is 1 B, this is 2 B, this is 3 B. So it is the breadth of the foundation B. At 2 times the breadth of the foundation below the soil, below the pressure applied, you only experience 10% of the pressure. Okay. But why people should study all those things? This 5-mark question or 10-mark question in B, draw a pressure bulb diagram or Newmark chart and stress distribution diagrams. But in reality, more than marks, it is a matter of life of the people working in the site and the neighbors, because nowadays due to real estate high values, people purchase one round of land at a rate of 5,000 rupees per square foot, even more in the urban areas. So they don't want to waste their land. I want to construct, not even ready to waste 1 mm of my land. So people put at the edge, they put the foundation. Your neighbor also put the foundation like that, means your pressure bulb lines, isobar lines and his lines make chance of getting overlap. If this is your line, your neighbor also coming near to you, what happens? Your 0.8, 0.4 Q and his 0.4 Q merges. It is 0.8 Q again. Then if the soil at these conditions is not sufficient to withstand, there is a chance of settlement or tilting our foundations. So the pressure bulb diagram is not a matter of marks. It is a matter of life of the structure. So understanding the pressure bulb is very, very important for a civil engineer. Okay. Below foundation, something is there. You should understand below foundation something is there. You should not touch that. Mostly sometimes for sewer lines or water pipelines, for services, people may dig. Okay. If they touches these lines, there is a chance of failure of the soil. If there is a failure of the soil, there is a failure of the foundation. Most of us know, and speaking about bearing capacity, what is bearing? Bear means support. Please bear with me. I am disturbing your afternoon nap. Please bear with me. Bear means take as it is. Support, carry the weight. Bearing capacity of soil means the soil has to bear the load acting on it. Here, this is Terzagh's famous diagram, how he arrived at bearing capacity based on this diagram. if you see again, it is boring because you may study it in college, the same diagram, what Serzai said, what Meyer said. So, as a practical engineer, I want to make my own story on this with a different example. Just for an example, just for a fun. Please don't be very serious. See, the soil is undisturbed. The new person come inside. Assume the current scenario, Ladakh. Ladakh belongs to us. Okay. The Chinese people come inside. Immediately, the responsive people is zone number 1. Our soldiers, our warriors, they resist them. Stop here. It is our land. You should not come down. You should not come here. They resist. Okay. This is the zone number 1. That's an assumption. Okay. So when there is a foreigners into the soil mass, the first person resisting is our soldiers and warriors. How our soldiers and warriors are getting benefited in their personal and professional life? Nothing but our government. Okay. Local state government and central government. They are giving salaries, they are giving perks, they are giving uniforms, they are giving ammunitions, they are giving courage, they are giving moral support, everything through our government. So that is zone number 2, radial shear zone. It is technically called. And this third zone, we are far away from the border. We are far away from our soldiers. Okay. This is ourself. What we have to do, we need not go and fight with our enemies always. We have to support our government. Our government will support our soldiers. How we support our government? Simply paying properly tax and not violating government norms. Obey the law and order. These are all the way we can support our government. Then our government will take care of our soldiers. Our soldiers will resist the enemy's intrusion. This is a funny comparison. That means when there is a soil mass exerts an additional pressure from the foundation, these zone resist interacting with the foundation and does not allow the foundation to move unless these zones are supporting. When these zones try to yield, then the zone 1, like a commanding officer, don't be so defensive to them. You may be a little flexible. Okay, sir. Then they little bit move inside. Then our enemies can easily come into that. So this is how I predict our soil failure also. We are getting the charge nothing but from ground level to the foundation level, our charge. Let us assume charge is our income. Okay. So with our charge, we support the radial shear zone, our government. With our support, our government supports the punching zone. Okay. That's nothing but our zone number 1. Okay. How there is a chance of failures in these 3 zones? The soil beneath the foundation that is responsible for the settlement or swelling. Soil below a foundation need not go for always settlement. It may heave, it may swell. The settlement is caused by the shear failure of the soil mass. The particles roll one over other, that is called shear failure due to the load. You also apply lot of balls, small balls, like table tennis balls. If you apply pressure on the table tennis bunch of balls, what happens? The balls roll one over other. Similarly, when you apply pressure on the soil mass, the particles try to roll one over other unless they have cohesive property. The swelling is nothing but, for swelling to understand better, in our houses we are making batter for idli and dosa. Okay. The first day they prepare the batter, rice batter, and then they cover with the plates. Next day morning, the plate fell down, the batter comes flow out of the container, what we poured in it. Here, what happens? No one add additional batter, no one adds additional water. How it happens? These are all micro level small particles. The water penetrate into the micro particles and lift the particles. That is called swelling. The swelling is nothing but the soil increases the volume with increase of water content. In shallow foundations, most of the failures are in shallow foundations. And don't imagine the foundation failures are only shallow foundation. There are deep foundation, even file foundation failures also there. That is a different topic. Let us come to a common man's problem. Let us have a shallow foundation. We've seen what is our previous slide is nothing but the shallow foundation problem. So how a shallow foundation fails? Three type of failures, that is general shear failure. Next is local shear failure. Third is punching shear failure. In general shear failures, this happens when you say a dense soil mass. Okay, the soil is very dense. Okay. What happens? The rupture of the lines. Okay, these zone lines ruptures, and there is small, due to the application of the load, mild small ground heave. When you plot the load versus settlement curve, at one stage there is a sudden drop. Okay. This is called general shear failure. In this general shear failure, all the zones get displaced. This happens when the bearing capacity reaches the ultimate bearing capacity. See, I am a 95 kg fellow. If you give a 10 kg suitcase with gold, I am very happily received from that, and I walk firmly. If you offer me, sir, 20 kg gold, you take? Okay, come on, give it. Okay. If you give 30 kg, I bend. Okay, and then I take. If you give 50 kg, still I don't collapse, but I yield like a coolie. How to carry like that? So when there is a pressure increases on me, I goes on deform my shapes. At one stage, when my ultimate capacity reaches, I collapse like that. Okay, this is called general shear failures. All the zones get disturbed. Okay. Another is local shear failure. In local shear failures, the rupture involves only below the foundations, and the final ground heave is very less. But the zone 3 move little away. There is a local zone rupture. So when there is a load versus settlement curve, it is like this. You can compare with the previous curve, it was like that. Now the load versus settlement curve is like that. This happens in medium dense soil. There is another failure called punching shear failure. When loose soil or soft soils, okay, when there is a load, these two become meaningless almost, and this zone punch inside the soil mass, and there is a unpredictable settlement of the foundations. So these are all the three failures: general shear failure, local shear failure, and punching shear failure. So if you want to avoid these failures, you have to strengthen these areas. Okay, strengthen the zones to avoid local shear failures. Okay, strengthen these areas, okay, to avoid general shear failures. Okay, when there is a general shear failures and local shear failures are avoided, punching shear failure is not possible. Okay, after that, so far we discussed about the bearing capacity. Most of structural engineers get the soil report. I'm sorry, most of them, not all of them, most of them. My friends, fellow friends, they go to the last page, find out the recommendation. What is the bearing capacity? At what depth? At 2 meter depth, 200 kN per meter square is the bearing capacity. No problem. Load divided by SBC equal to area divided by root square root. They give the foundation size. But there is very, very important thing: settlement. Okay. And normally people are asking, have your boy settled? Have the doctor settled? Settlement means people achieved some financially good status. Here, settlement is a negative word. In geotechnical and structural engineering word, settlement is nothing but the soil is moving. There are three types of settlements. There is IS code for settlement, IS 899, 8009, 1976. Okay. There is a separate code of practice to find out the settlement. This consists of three settlements. One is elastic settlement, that is immediate settlement. When you construct the foundation on the soil mass, there will be a settlement found out. That is immediate elastic settlement. Another is consolidation settlement. You construct a building now, it goes on settle every year 1 mm or microns. After 50 or 60 years, you may find this building gets settled, or 20 years the building may get settled. Yeah, I experienced in few areas in Anna Nagar and Adayar. So 20 years before we constructed the building, our grandfather constructed, our father constructed the building. For the 20 years, no issues, sir. Last 6 months only, they are receiving some cracks. So 20 years, it goes on settling 1 mm per year. 20th year, it crosses 20 mm. Immediate settlement or quarter settlement, settlement crosses more than 40-50 mm, then the crack starts. This happens mostly in clay soils or fine grained soils. The third one is secondary settlement. After immediate and controlled settlement, if the soil does not goes on deformation, this is called secondary settlement. Yes, these are all mathematical equations on how the settlement. This is the pressure. This is the width of the foundation. It's a Poisson ratio. This Young's modulus. It is influence factor. This is given in what are all the values given in Bowles book and other suitable engineering books, as well as in IS codes. So type of soil, what is the Poisson ratio, what is the influence factor, what is the Young's modulus. Okay. So consolidated settlement, there is another equations, difference on surcharge and additional pressure and the void ratio and higher thickness of layer, and there is a how to find out the consolidated settlement. Depends on compression index of the clay soil. So it is a long-term settlement in logarithmic scale, and secondary settlement is nothing but after consolidated settlement, there is goes on further settlement of the soil. It has years together, even it takes centuries. One of the best example for secondary settlement is Leaning Tower of Pisa. All settlements are not dangerous. You cannot avoid settlement also. If you have a neatly ironed shirt or coat, if if you wear it, there will be a deformation. Okay, but you are comfortable. You are providing a shirt and a coat. Similarly, when you apply a force on the soil mass, okay, when you have a tight shirt, okay, the stitches get teared due to your body pressure. Similarly, excuse me, there are a lot of columns in a buildings. One column settle 20 mm, another column settle 25 mm means no issues. There is not much difference. One column settle 20 mm, another column settles 50 mm means there is a problem. So that is called differential settlement. At one area, all columns are settled 10 mm. In another area, all columns are 20 mm. In last area, all columns settled mean 40 mm means there is a tilt of the building. That is called angular distortion. The building may tilt. So there our problem starts. If there is a differential settlement or if there is an angular distortion that too observed by the people inside, then our problem starts. Even a few months ago, we received almost the same problem. The front side of the building is almost okay, but rear side settles more than 100 mm. They see, sir, if I put a ball in the front veranda, it goes to the backyard by gravity. So how can I sleep the house peacefully? So this is called angular distortion. So with these calculations and bearing capacity calculations, settlement calculations, how to take the decisions? Okay, National Building Code also gives about what type of foundations, either as isolated footings or wrapped foundation, which type of soil, sandy soil or clay soil, what type of structure, if it is a steel structure or reinforced concrete structures or multi-story buildings. Okay, so there are allowable limits given. Okay. We cannot avoid bacteria and virus in our life. If you have ice cream, you are eating bacteria. If you have cold water, you may consume virus also. But unless your body immunity is within fighting tendency, you don't have a problem. Similarly, if the settlements are within limits, if the differential settlements are within limit, depends on length of the building. For example, if it is a reinforced structure, 0.005 L, okay, of the length of the building. The settlement is within limit, there is no problem. If there is angular distortion, the tilt is within 1 in 300 for steel, 1 in 500 for RCC, then no issues. Depends on type of soil and depends on type of substructure and depends on type of structure and length to height ratio. So there is a table given in class 7.2.3 and table 3 of National Building Code 2016. They are very beautifully given. So the structural engineers, while designing the structure, they have to go through the settlement calculations, and the settlements are within limit, no issues. If the settlements are not within limit, then only our problem starts. Other than settlement, there is another hectic, challenging, headache issue for civil engineers. Nothing but expansive soil. India is an agricultural country. 80% or 70 to 80% of our population are in villages. Most of the villages are how they are surviving in villages by paddy fields, sugarcane fields. Okay. It is a very good news for the farmers. We have a wide range of clay soil bed, at least for 2 to 3 meters topsoil or clay soil. In most of our Ganges, Indo-Gangetic plain, our Kaveri belt, Godavari belt, India Satpura belt, where we have plenty of agricultural clay soil with 365 days sunlight. That is why we are invaded by our foreigners. Okay. For centuries. We can yield, get yield. We can get yield. It's a very good news for the agriculture, but it is a headache for civil engineers. As I said earlier, the better water issue, the soil swells. So, why soil swells? Clay soils are less than 2 micron. 1 micron is 1 by 1000 mm. These are all less than 2 microns. When water slowly permeate into the soil mass, the clay soil allow the water to occupy the space between the particles, and the volume slowly increases. At one stage, it vigorously increases, and there is an increase of the mass volume like this. When it is without water, it is like this. When it is watery, moisture when permeate into the soil mass, it swells like this. In reverse, okay, it swells when dry seasons like May, June, April, May, June, lot of summer drought prone areas. Our fingers, even our palm can go inside these cracks on our field, agricultural field. If you construct a building on this soil, what happens? Okay. So if there is a drying, there is a shrinkage, cracking, and subsidence. If there is a wetting, when the rain comes, now our monsoon starts, swelling, crack, and soil rising happens. Result of swelling and shrinkage, when swell pressure dominates the foundation pressure, okay, then the foundation may lift up or tilt. Shrinkage is nothing but loss of moisture, the volume shrinkage. Shrinkage is dominant around the contact area. The contact area is nothing but the foundations. When there is a contact area gets shrunk, the foundation settles. So in monsoon time, the soil swells. In summer time, the soil settles. Swells, settle. What happens? That is called fatigue. If you take a paper, if you take a metal sheet, okay, bend it like this, at one stage, the fatigue reaches the threshold, and there is a unrepairable cracks, even sometimes collapse of the structure. How soil swells? There are parameters. We people are having some diabetic scales. If it is fasting sugar more than that, or PP sugar more than 180 or 160 or 190, 200 like that. If it is more than that, you are marginally diabetic. If it is more than 200, it is diabetic. You are more than 300, you are uncontrolled diabetic. Like that, doctors are saying and giving insulin to the patients. Similarly, if the liquid limit is more than 40% and the plasticity index more than 18% and the free swell index, so at least structural engineers, my fellow friends, don't study only the recommendation part. Please study the index properties table. Okay, liquid limit, plasticity index, nothing but liquid limit minus plastic limit is equal to plasticity index and free swell index. If it is beyond the scale, even though the bearing capacity is good, be careful. Okay, you may need a ground improvement technique, because when the soil test was conducted on the month of summer, your N value is different. When the soil test shall be conducted at the some month of November, December, your N value may be different. So don't trust only on N values and bearing capacity. Try to study the soil parameters also. How to solve the expansive soil? So Chennai ki miga arigil, Coimbatore ki miga, that means some I am saying about advertisements very near to Chennai, very near to Hyderabad, very near to Vijayawada, very near to Kakinada. very near to Delhi. Like that advertisement comes for the real estate. That means those areas are paddy fields. Mostly paddy fields or sugarcane fields, where chance of clay soil deposits are more. Rates are cheaper. People go and purchase the land. After purchase only, they come to know what type of soil when they are going for Bhumi Puja or going for soil test. Our olden days Bhumi Puja is also one type of soil test. What they do, they excavate and then they pour the water. When they pour the water, if the water not permeate means the soil is maybe a clay soil. The water permeate means it is a sandy soil. Simple test. And they put some stem on the pit. I wonder why they puja performed with the stem. That is a cone penetration test those days. Okay. If the cone is penetrate easily into the soil mass, be careful. If the cone does not penetrate even with the water content, soil may be good. So most of our Bhumi Pujas are also soil tests. So how to counteract with the expansive soil? Lime is the best material to fight about expansive soil. Lime can be easily mixed with clay soil to some depth, up to the significant depth, what we see in the pressure group diagram. This is nothing but calcium oxide or calcium hydroxide. When lime reacts with clay soil, it make the structure friable and a bozolonic reaction taken place and make the clay inert. If you swell, if you sink, then only a problem. I don't allow you to swell and sink. Like that, the chemical reaction between the clay and lime. Our cement is nothing but, okay, 60% lime, clay and alumina. Okay, silica and alumina, nothing but clay. Okay. They are fine grind in kiln and then burned in some degrees Celsius, and then gives cementitious material called clinkers, and then add gypsum. So it is a natural cementitious process. Lime can be added to the soil by these methods: lime column, lime permeation, lime injection, and lime mixing. This is in one of our site. In one of our site in Chennai, Perambur, it is a clay soil belt. Over that, the ground plus 3-story building going to be constructed. Load of 70 to 90 tons load applied on the soil mass. There are two type of options. Either we go for pile foundations or we go for ground improvement. But when we go for pile foundation, the good data we got only at 28 meters. So the contractor gets scared. So how to improve the soil? So I suggested this method. Unfortunately, the contractor initially accepted, but at the time of processing, he understand how yes, clay soil get hardened. This is nothing but you have to make holes with augers. These are all the holes. Inside the augers, we put lime with a mixture of sand, and then we pour water, and then compacted with the poles. Okay. Actually, it's better compacted with the hammer. It is good. In some places we use hammers. Many places we use only these poles, and allow for at least a month curing. One of the worst thing in construction practice is people don't give time to allow for curing. I strictly said you have to allow for at least 1 month curing. Then after that they tested by normal tools. It was not easy. Previously it was like ice cream cube. Okay, when they use the tools on the soil mass comes like an ice cream cube. But after that curing, it was very hard. Then the contractor accepts, yes, something happened. At frequent intervals, normally like a pile 3 times dia, we put the lime columns and then let the lime to cure, react with the soil mass, and then automatically improve the soil bearing capacity. There are some combinations also available. You can use soil chemical reactions as well as some reinforcement like geogrids. But it is very comparatively less expensive, and depends on settlement criteria. We may use for reinforcements also like geogrids. And sorry. If it is sandy clay, some sand content is there, you may make some holes. It is a very colloquial local practice in small sectors. We create holes using the rods used for excavation tools. In Tamil, we are saying kadapparai, that tapping rods we use, and then we drill manually and then pour the lime emulsion inside the pit and leave it for curing for some time. After that, you again check whether it is hardened the soil, then you construct the building. This is called lime permeation. And the lime mixing in highway projects, for kilometers of land, you may have a clay soil. So in this like these containers, you may spread the lime emulsions and then mix with the soil and then roll over it. Then leave it for curing. In highway projects, you may do like this. In highway projects, lime mixing and lime injection also people are using. And lime injections, mostly lime injection is a little bit costlier compared to the previous methods. But when the building got settled, when the highway got settled, okay, you have no other option than injections. Okay. Here are some tools, specialized tools to puncture the soil, and then the controlled pressure, they inject the solution, the chemical solution, mostly lime or mixed with lime with fly ash, and then they permeate inside the soil mass and solidify and get reacted with the clay soil and reduce expansivity, like reducing the passivity index, and then harden the soil mass and don't allow the soil mass to settle and swell further. Okay, so far we discussed about the problems of expansive soil, clay soil. Now let us go inside the foundation part. How foundation fails? Improper design or improper construction. Third one is not in our hand, is natural calamity. We can predict to some extent, okay, and then design conservatively. What is improper design? Lack of soil test. People pay lakhs and crores of rupees to purchase the land. Give money for approval authority as a fees. Some things other than fees also sometimes. And not ready to pay for the soil test. Even now, when we given a ground plus 3-story or 4-story building, when structural engineers insist go for soil test, most of the people, clients, innocently or ignorantly ask, sir, whether it is repaired. It is a matter of 20,000 rupees to 50,000 rupees. Okay? But the land cost is crores, lakhs. Building cost is in lakhs and crores. For 4,000 rupees mixi, there is a guarantee card. What is the guarantee card for your site? Your soil test is a guarantee card. So do the soil test. Lack of detailed soil report. Last week I have received a report. They did up to only 6 meters. Even at 6 meters, soil does not have good N value. I scolded the contractor and the client side engineer. Why you stop at 6 meter? Sir, if you go for 10 meter, the soil consultant asks more rupees, more money. See, penny wise, pound foolish like that. Okay. I'm sorry to say this. People they are doing NAMCA was a state test. I did up to 6 meters. Anyway, please go do this based on that. So I reject the soil report. You do the soil report at least for 10 meters or at least N value more than 50, like that. So then we decide. So lack of detailed soil report. They do soil report but not detailed soil report. And making some calculation errors, like kilonewton to tons. Okay. So unit conversion in civil engineering, there are a lot of unit conversion errors are there, mostly. Using softwares, the calculation errors are reduced much, but still people are giving wrong inputs. Instead of 150 kilonewton, they give 150 tons, or 150 15 tons, they are giving 15 kilonewtons, like that. Sometimes calculation errors and lack of knowledge in geotechnical field. Okay. As I said earlier, people study only the soil lost part. What is the recommendation of bearing capacity? Okay. So study the lab reports also. Lack of upgradation of knowledge. Okay. Lot of materials are changing nowadays. Our cement grades are changed. There are different type of special cements are available. Soil reinforcements like geogrids are available. So a lot of instead of piles, micro piles are invented. So upgrade the knowledge periodically. And negligence, nothing happened. One more story we can put. Okay. And manipulation of factor of safety. IS code says 1.5 dead load, 1.5 live load. The minimum factor of safety is required. Even we don't. Why do we go for 1.5? Some people are altering the factor of safeties. When we scrutinize the design, we found and not adhere to the code of practice. This code of practice is not code of theory. It is for practice only. If you practice, go as per code of practice. Sir, I use American code. Nothing wrong. You use American tools. Okay. And American code is formed for American standards, tools, and American temperatures, American soil conditions. Use India. If you practice in India, use Indian code. Nothing wrong to go and upgrade your code of practice to international standard. But if you go for international standard, you use international tools and methodology also. And a lack of knowledge about site condition and adjacent sections. As I said, in one of my site, they excavate below the foundation of the nearby site. What happens? The pressure bulb get disturbed, and then that building fell on the people. 2 people died at site. I might be charged, but by some way, I escaped with some excuses. So be careful. At the time, the police officer understand that it is a site engineer's error. Okay. So after that, I put strong words in my drawing sheets. Take care of your neighbors and neighboring sites and oil excavation. Because people excavate without a lot of negligence inside. So while designing also, so please take care of the neighbors. Okay. Simply study the soil report and sitting in front of PC and typing the values, get it from the stat or ITAPs, give the drawings. So after some accidents, I decide do not start design without going to site. So no doctor will give prescription without seeing the patients. So don't give any design without go and visit the site. And after improper design, there is improper construction practice, okay, in foundations. This improper construction practice is during earthwork excavation or erections or installations. or during the construction of foundations. There are improperness in two ways. Yes, there is a lot of improperness, lack of skilled laborers. Nowadays, people are facing a very big problem of the migrated laborers. Most of the laborers went away to their native from North India, from South India, east to west, north to south. Their laborers are went off. Skilled laborers are not available to carry out the business. So, lack of skilled laborers is the first criteria. Lack of proper methodology and tools. For pile foundation, there is a separate methodology. For auger pile, there is a separate methodology. For driven pile, there is a separate methodology and tools. And lack of proper formworks. Whatever the type of cement you use, whatever type of steel you use, the formworks are not proper. There is a lot, nothing but waste of materials. Okay. And technical supervision. Most of the sites, technical supervisions means you have to appoint a supervisor, that's all. But supervisor should be trained. He should be strong enough to study the slump, strong enough to study the soil conditions, strong enough to check the reinforcements, strong enough to check the cover blocks. The technical knowledge of supervisors also very much emphasized, not simply putting a person and blaming him for any mishaps happens. And lack of safety measures, as I said, my bad experience. When you go below earth level, take care of the safety measures. What happens if there is any mishap? If it's on like seat piles, braced cuttings, ladders to come up easily. Like there's a lot of safety measures. That also a lackness in most of the sites. And lack of knowledge about deep excavations. Okay. People study KA into gamma H in college and forget. What is the KA in gamma H? Approximately, if you excavate 1 meter, there is 1 ton force around you. A proverb in Tamil, Kannaravatta Bhudam. That means if you excavate, there are devils around you. If you excavate 2 meters, 2 tons of pressure is around you. You calculate KA, let it be 0.3, gamma 18 into H 2 meters, you find out. Okay, that much of pressure is waiting around you to crash you. Okay, so whatever you study in your classrooms, in your softwares, you have to apply to the site. That is engineering. Okay, so when you go for deep excavations, 3 meter nowadays, like shopping malls, 2 basement, 3 basement, 5 basements are people are trying because height of restriction in construction is there. So people go for using their ground to the maximum. So when they are going for deep excavations, then there is a chance of water moisture ingress or water will meet out or collapse of soil, dewatering problems, drainage arrangements, and as I said earlier, abutting success. While you are excavation for basements, care about your neighbors. Negligence in construction, pre-install electrical lines or plumbing lines or sewer lines around your site. When you go for excavation of basements, you may be very careful. Sometimes people get electrocuted, and there is a pre-erected bore wells or boreholes are there. And improper construction practice, not maintaining proper water cement ratio is a very big challenge in most of the constructions. We design M25 or M30 or even M40, but people are struggling still to achieve M20. Okay. Because of there is no proper water cement ratio maintenance at site. One of the most awkward scenario we found is this fellow very nicely fabricated the steel, the pedestal, the column, everything. But he put bricks instead of cover blocks. In one of the site, I scolded people don't put bricks. You use cover blocks only. When next day he put fly ash blocks. He argued that also grey color, this also grey color. Color is not important, content is important. Because when you put a concrete on this, the bricks get crushed. When the bricks get crushed, there is a chance of moisture ingress, and then reinforcement get corroded. And use proper thickness of cover blocks like this. If it is a foundation bottom, so the PCC is provided, you have to use 50 mm cover blocks, and side is 75 mm covers. So use proper cover blocks. Avoid these type of bricks, bats, or some other materials, and not properly compacting. Okay. Mostly people use the tapered concrete. For that, they initially cost one type of water cement ratio, the first layer. The next layer use lesser water cement ratio. So that is why nowadays we avoid, don't go for tapered footing, even though little bit extra concrete. You go for a proper formwork around this, and then put that total thickness concrete. And not properly cure the foundations. Roof slab and all, they could properly cure. And foundation curing are not properly giving. And there is a honeycomb schemes, and they are very negligent. Okay. These are all the improper construction practice in foundations and improper rebar arrangements. For isolated footings, avoid lappings, because most of the isolated footings are all the isolated footings are cantilevers. Okay. So if you don't save the material by providing some laps, be lap free. Okay. And there is a development length. There is a two type of development length. One is compression development length, LDC, and then tension development length, LDT. Mostly compression development length is 38 times diameter of the bars to 40 times diameter of the bars. And then tensile development length is 50 to 60 times diameter of the bars. So that should be provided. Don't try to, you have to check for punching shear and one-way shear. At the same time, check for the LDT and LDC also. And another most important thing is, foundation once cast and get refilled, unless otherwise something, a mishap happens, no one going to excavate the foundations. So it is a lifelong maintenance free. It is better use for corrosion resistant steels. Corrosion resistance means you can use CR steel, corrosion resistant specialized steel as per IS 11587, or you may use for epoxy coating like fusion molded epoxy, or at least zinc chromate coating. And while making concrete, make the concrete using corrosion inhibitor like Concare, a Central Electrochemical Research Institute product. It's very cheap, 50 rupees per bottle like that. So you mix with the cement and then make the concrete corrosion free. Preferably use PPC or slag cement for foundations. If it is a corrosive environment due to sulfur content in the soil, use to go for sulfur resistant cement than OPC. And provide proper formworks. If you are giving, section engineers are giving a foundation size 1.5 meter by 1.5 meter means, some contractors are making exactly 1.5 meter by 1.5 meter. They don't give additional leverage, but they have to go at least 1 feet around the foundations so that they can put a proper formwork and then pour the concrete and then properly compact it. And the use of good quality of water, that is very, very important. IS 456 table number 1, they speak about water. Because water is a very, very, very important thing. If you use good quality cement, Ramco cement, or any other product, good brand cement, Tata Steel, JSW Steel, whatever may be, if your water is not as per quality, then there is a chance of disintegration of concrete due to the harming materials. So in this, the sulfur and chloride, be very, very careful. So not only the soil test, the water test also much emphasized. The sulfate content shall not be more than 400 ppm. If it is a PCC, 200 ppm. If it is an RCC, 500 ppm should be the chloride content. I given this chart to your site engineer and test the water. You stick on it. The site engineer is my friend only. He scolded me. You people are sitting in AC rooms and then giving some reports. How can we maintain site? A few days before, after that, we met him in a hotel. I asked him. He was taking some hot drinks. You are mixing Aquafina or Kinley for the hot drinks. It's a matter of half an hour, 1 hour's pressure. Assume the lifelong building, what type of water is required. Okay. So use good quality water. He was scared. Why I am saying means, see, for the entire building, if you even purchase the water, the amount of water, amount you spend on water is very, very meager. Okay. Either you go for if there is a chance of treatment plant to treat the water before construction, better erect it. Or it is not possible, construct the sump first or create some syntax tank like that and then purchase the water from good source and use the water. Okay. And as we already discussed about the lack of proper water cement ratios, the slum cone is matter of 2,000 rupees. Hardly I found 10% of my sites using some slum cones. When the cube strength is not achieving, when we start scolding our contractors or site engineers, sir, we did very nicely, sir. I show the video, sir. We don't want video. Have you checked the slump values? Most of the people don't know. Okay. So if the slump IS table 5 gives what is the minimum cement content, what is the workability. Okay. So use if the slump is shearing, don't use the concrete. You remix the concrete to adopt the proper slump. If the water cement ratio increases, definitely the strength reduces. Strength reduces. Okay. And lack of compaction. Okay. In roof slab and all, people worship and then very seriously they are doing. But for foundations and even mostly on columns, people not giving proper importance. So if there is no proper compaction, the strength may not achieve. Okay, then nowadays self-compacting concretes are coming. So in spite of that, you ensure the concrete get compacted properly. After compaction, curing. Okay. So when there is a wrapped foundation like this, you may use sprinkler system or application of curing compound or the conventional ponding system. You want to give some curing at least for 7 days. Okay. And then you construct further. Honeycombs is prohibited in foundations because foundations are maintenance free all over the life. So be careful. If there is honeycombs comes, you have to really very cautiously, very conservatively treat these honeycombs with the proper chemicals. Don't simply plaster it. And hill stations where the constructions are like this, Be careful that these pressure bulbs should not touch the adjacent foundations. There are guidelines given in NBC also. So in such a way, you have to place the foundation system. In one of our site, the roof tiles are continuously cracking. My friend, fellow engineer, goes on changing the roof tiles, weathering course tiles. After some times, there are diagonal cracks on the superstructure also. Then at last we found the roof tiles are cracking because of uneven settlement. Okay, if there is no settlement, no issues. If the settlements are uniform, not always possible. If the settlements are uniform, only in water tanks it may be possible. So that also will not give more hazardous. But this is a differential settlement, then there is a chance of lot of cracks on the buildings and service get affected. This is one of the silos kissing each other because of what we discussed, the pressure bulb overlaps. There is tilt, angular distortions. Okay. And people are excavating near the foundations. Okay. When they touches the pressure bulb lines, then this building may be unsafe. So be very careful. When you are in such a conditions, you have to properly shore it. You have to give seed piles. Better give continuous piles. Spend some money on this, and then you ensure there is no settlement or lateral movement. Then you go further excavations. And refilling. Okay, mostly people go for excavate and then construct the foundation. They do proper foundation and all. If there is a clay soil, don't refill the same soil. If there is no soil is available, then compact the clay soil along with the lime and along with the quarry dust or some non-swelling soils mixed together and ensure that the clay soil will not swell further. So this note is very important. Well compacted non-swelling soil for refilling of the foundation pit as well as for the plinth. This is a very common scenario in some outer yard and car park. Okay. Due to swell sink, if the soil is not well compacted and non-swelling soil, it may sag or it may swell, heave like this. And natural calamities, it is due to flood. Normally, while doing foundations near water bodies, you have to take care of scouring depth. Most of the bridge collapse due to scours. That is why government is very strict and media is also watching dredging of river sand. Okay. So scouring around the substructure leads to failure of the substructure. There is a failure of substructure. There is a failure of the superstructure. And the liquefaction, it is due to earthquake. There is a sudden movement of the soil due to shock when there is saturated conditions. That is liquefaction. That is a very big area. And due to wind and cyclone, if the foundations are not designed for lateral loads, there is a crack on the foundations, and then the foundation may get tilted. These are all natural calamities. You might have seen in Uttarakhand a few years ago, some buildings are get eroded due to scouring actions. Here, again, I recall Dr. Vilambardi. In any business, there is a vendor, there is a client. There is a middleman also plays a major role. Foundation is an intermediate material. It's like a middleman. In any business, the middleman role is a very important role. You either purchase of a plot or purchase of ammunitions. Okay. So middleman, who is the agency going to deal this client procurement and producers requirement. Similarly, here structure, here soil. Foundation is the middleman. So unless the middleman is strong enough to understand both people, the business will not be successful. Unfortunately, due to economical constraints, people give some lack of importance about the foundations, and sometimes innocently they make some mistakes. They not properly go for proper scrutiny of design and then execute. Okay, so this leads to the structural failures of the entire structure. Structural failures of foundations, yes, we already discussed about punching shear and one-way shear, things about the soil. Now, the punching shear failure also happened in the foundations where column and foundation meets. Unless the thickness is not sufficient, so around the column, there is chance of cracks like this. This is called punching shear failure. Here, the stresses should be within limit of 0.45 FCK. FCK is characteristic compressive strength. There is a equation given, and there is a one-way shear. Due to bending, there is a chance of shear crack at a distance from the column, and in some cases, soil bearing capacity is very poor, even less than 100 km per meter square. Column face is one thing, 230 mm by 300 mm or 350 mm. The foundation is 4 meter by 4 meter. Some designers gives like this, but IS codes, IS 456, page number 65, class 35.4 gives A1 by A2 square root not greater than 2. A1 is foundation area, A2 is column area. So A1 divided by A2 square root cannot be more than 2. If it is more than 2, you have introduced pedestal. If there is a more punching stress possibility, there also you can introduce pedestal. And we already discussed, if there is that buildings are not designed for lateral loads, there is a chance of tilt due to the horizontal pressure, horizontal temperature, either due to wind or due to a seismic, or even sometimes extraordinary temperature conditions. Then make the structure out of plumb, then structure make it fails. Prevention is nothing but engineer in charge, not only a site design engineer's responsibility, also a site engineer's responsibility. If a site engineer have some small doubts, he has to bring into the design office. Don't construct or what the drawing received, I did construct. In one of the site, the design engineer gave the drawing minus 2 meters, the foundation should be rest. At one place, minus 2 meter is rock. At one place, minus 2 meter is silty clay. If you escalate to 1 more meter, there is a chance of rock. But the site engineer blindly follows. At 2 meters, I put the foundation. That's all. So there was uneven settlement happened. We had to repair at a very costly manner. So scrutinize the soil exploration report and as well as foundation drawing, because soil exploration taken at one part of time. And while excavation, if there is any changes, you have to report to the designer and redesign. And take care of excavation with proper precautions, we already discussed. And the quality assurance of materials and workmanship is emphasized. These are all the preventions. And yes, remedies are possible, but it is very cumbersome and costly. You got to spray the money, not spending the money. How a king is spraying the money while we're enjoying some parties. Like that, you have to spend the money. Because foundation rehabilitation is very costly, and you are going to, like the cartoon, one man is holding a rolling rock. So when you go and touch the foundation, you have to be very careful. Sometimes anything happens, the person near the foundation get crushed. One of the prevention method is ground improvement technique. You can compact the soil, you can introduce stone columns, you can preload, you can give lime treatment. Already we discussed. Compaction is the easiest and economical way. Unless it's a cohesive swelling soil, you can simply compact using the vibrators. You excavate and vibrate, use the vibrators, or in which is a large area, when you go for raft and all, or road works, you go for rollers. And then compact, this is OMC curve. You compact a little bit wet of optimum, and then even though some loss of moisture, you don't lose the strength. Okay. Compaction is very possible and easy construction methodology in ground improvement. And stone column, if you have a two-wheeler in monsoon time, if you park a two-wheeler in ground in using side stand, many people experience after sometimes the two-wheeler get toppled because of the soil get wet and the soil become loose, so become soft, and the two-wheeler stand goes inside. It is a foundation failure, but it's a small section. You can lift the two-wheeler and then you take it. But if it happens to the building, what happens? In two-wheeler, how to avoid such things? On below the stand, you put a small stone. The two-wheeler will be safe. Say similarly, this is a conventional colloquial example. If you are putting stones which are stronger below your foundations, it is a pre-construction method. Before construction of our foundations, you have to put some stones. Stones are nothing but our 40 mm jelly or 60 mm blue metals. Okay. Normally, this is the construction methodology. First, there are advanced methods also available in big companies, but conventional method is like a pile. You have to make a casing, or without casing, you make a holes. On the holes, you pour the stones and compact using a hammers at equal intervals, and again pour the stones and compact. This is normally 2 to 3 times of diameter of the hole, and then at equal intervals, if you compact it, over that you can construct a normal foundations. Then settlement is very much reduced. This is much cheaper than pile foundations. Many buildings we constructed ground plus 4-story buildings. Even though soil recommendations for pile foundations, we compare. If it is a design, we designed for pile foundations, we designed for stone column with shallow foundation. We compare the statement. If there is a savings, more than 50% savings on the foundation cost, we go for stone columns. More lack of awareness and some apprehension, well, whether it will stand like that. So people who don't go for stone column, but it is a cheaper and very reliable method. And preloading, this is very time consuming. But in case of a large scale project like AIMS comes, today they construct one block, tomorrow they construct after a few years they construct another blocks, after 10 years they construct one more block. So we know which one is the last block going to construct. You load the material, construction materials at a particular area. If the soil is a compressible soil, you can make some holes and then put a sand. Then you can improve the soil permeability, and then you load the building materials. So they squeeze it, and then the soil get naturally compacted. After that, again test the soil and then construct the building. So these are all the one of the easiest method, but it is very time consuming. The preloading method. Another remedy is underpinning. Okay, I construct the building. After some time, I found the building is sinking or swelling. What to do? This is called the word called underpinning. If you split the word underpinning, you go inside under the building and then you pin, but means strengthening the foundation by some means. These are all the famous underpinning methods: grouting the soil, enlarging the existing foundation area, putting a pile and connecting a needle beam around the structure, and micro piles. Soil grouting is nothing but this is a conceptual diagram. We see there are 3 zones in the below the foundations. We drill near the foundation, as proximate to the foundations, and then grout with cement or fly ash or bitumen or any other materials which can be proven to improve the soil strength, shear strength. Okay, this is the conceptual diagram. This is our site diagram. It's a 100-year-old building. in Chennai. We inclined drilling and then put emulsion of cement, and then we insert this sandy soil, silty sand. Okay, we pressurize with the controlled pressure and penetrate into the below the foundations, and then we solidify the soil. We don't allow the soil to foundation to settle. This is costly method. If there is a settlement, there is no other way we may go. It is comparatively a costly method. People think only shallow foundation settles, deep foundation does not settle. It is a myth. Sometimes if the deep foundation not sit properly, the piles not concreted properly. This is one of the beautiful building. Here is a grouting and drilling equipment. We grouted around the pile. The pile is at a depth of 6 meters. We grouted out to 10 meters. The soil is very weak. The contractor mistakenly stopped the pile at 60 meters without soil test. The contractor put the 300 mm dia pile. I asked the contractor, why you did the pile? And all nearby people are putting pile foundation. So I was also putting pile foundation. So pile foundation is a fashion in some areas. So go for soil pivot, but top end values are more than 50. Where he put stop the pile at where end value is 0. So he brought all the load and bring to the looser state. We grouted around the pile, and then still we are studying. There is no further settlement. So the client is happy, but it is very costly. Sometimes pile foundation also settles. Enlarging size of foundation. If you zoom these slides here, this is the existing foundation. The existing foundation is 2.5 meter by 2.5 meter, and while we designed it, this is a factory building. They are going to overload the factory. When they overload it, the foundation size requirement is 5 meter by 5 meter. It's almost double the size. It's 2.5 by 2.5, now 5 meter by 5 meter. So this is the existing foundation. We drill the holes and then rebar using Hilti chemicals. I'm not sure either Hilti or Fosroc Locks. Okay, they did it and then put the rebar, and then this is the original column and this is the additional column. If you see the side photos, you may see, you understand better. See, this is the existing foundation we excavated, and then in this drill the holes, insert the rebars and grouted, and then this existing column, around the column we put the additional column. Now then we concreted. So this is increasing the size of foundation is one method of underpinning. And putting pile near the foundations and put needle beams here on pile, and put a needle beam connected with the existing foundation. This is another method, not easy method. It's a very tough method. We have to prop all the structural elements inside the building, and then you do. And the recent one is the micro piles. Micro piles are nothing but the pile dia less than 300 mm. Normally 16 mm to 150 mm. Where people are using. You may assume the screws what we use in our day-to-day life for carpentry works or nailing in the walls. We are using screws. The screws are nothing example of micro piles. Like that, you can use piles for the structure also. Micropiles are very much used where soil bearing capacity is less and building constructed, the building goes on settling. You want to safeguard. Okay, so there the micropiles applications are more. Here is one of the case study. The soil is a clay soil. It goes on N value is 4 and goes on settling, then followed by clay sand and then sand. This is not the interaction area. This pile is in one place and this pile is in another place. You see the plan. Okay, these are all the micropiles. The micropiles are grown like this, and then they grow the micropile and then fill it with the concrete. and properly connect with the existing foundation. I saw site photographs. This building is sinking. So there is no other solution. Better we feel better go for micropiles. So this is the incline driller. And then in the incline driller, we use GI pipes. This method suggested by Dr. A.R. Shantakumar. Because even 300 dia pile is very difficult to maintain reinforcement. So how to go for 75 mm 100 dia pile? So Dr. Shantakumar advised us, why not you go for GI pipes? GI pipes is a composite structure. You put a GI pipes and then grout it and then concrete it. And then this is a grouting equipment. This is the Hilti chemical we use to connect rebars to the existing foundations. And then we first we drill and we grout and we cut the we weld further GI pipes. Then we excavate. These are all the GI pipes grouted with concrete. And this is the existing foundation. The existing foundation we drill and put the rebars. And we cut the micro pile. It's a cut-off level. After that, while at the time of putting the micro pile itself, we put a 1 12 mm bar. The 12 mm bar bend together and then connect with the existing pile. So it is behaving like this. See, this is the existing foundation. This is the micro piles. These are acting as a cap. It is almost a pile draft. Okay. So the micropile also have some calculations like same that of how board pile, skin friction as well as end bearing. Okay, with these some examples, I come to the conclusion. Foundation is the most important element in the structure. Even a small mistakes and negligence and improper materials or methodology leads to catastrophic failure of the structure and leads to costly and cumbersome repairs. And knowledge on foundation engineering and design and construction is emphasized for civil engineers. Even me, when I was studying BE, soil mechanics and foundation engineering, nothing but geothermal engineering is a boring and tough subject. Structural engineering is still more tough subject. Most of my areas were in structural engineering. But no pain, no gain. Unless otherwise, you have to pain yourself to understand the concept and make on working out the mathematics. We cannot get a good job. So no pain, no gain. So all fresh engineers and all engineers should know the word, the concept of the word. Ground improvement techniques prevent foundation failures. Ground improvement is a preventive method. Okay. Underpinning is a highly skilled job. Underpinning is possible. It is highly skilled job and a costly job. It requires strong knowledge and experience as well as expertise in meticulous calculations. Otherwise, if you goes on underpinning without proper methodology, then the treatment may be worse than disease. Sometimes a lot of mishap and accidents happens. So with this, I conclude. Thank you very much for your patience. He is my godfather, Professor Rolf P. Beck. Is worked along with the Professor Terzaghi. Some equation you may study Terzaghi and Beck equation. In his autobiography, he written, civil engineering is not an intellectual practice. Even it has intellectual content. dy by dx, double integrations, CNC, gamma b. Lot of equations are there. Lot of intellectual contents are there. But it is action oriented. You go to site, interact with the site people, read the drawing, and then improve the drawings, revise the drawings, again go to site, implement it. Sitting in AC in front of PC is easy. Okay. So be action oriented. Thank you very much for your patience. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. It was a very interesting presentation with such a free flow, like the self-compacting concrete, and with lot of practical analogies, lot of comparisons you made for easy understanding. So it was very interesting, as well as even though it was afternoon, nobody felt that. In fact, many of them were complimenting your presentation. And many of the questions that have been asked, you have already covered in the presentation, but can we take a couple of them, sir?
Yes, sir. Sure.
There is one from Association of Consulting Civil Engineers, Goa Center. In fact, they have also conducted a series of webinar along with us on water retaining structures. Engineer Carvalho Olavo had a question: how to fix the height of pedestal? Is depth of footing relating to bar diameter of column steel? In this situation, do we incorporate a pedestal?
Normally, pedestal from the top of foundation to soffit of grade beam, normal design. Pedestals, we array the size in such a way, it is a width to height ratio within 3 or maximum 4. So then only 0.12% reinforcement is possible. In some cases, pedestal heights are more. Then you go for additional reinforcements. Normally, it is designed in such a way, top of foundation to soffit of grade beam.
Another question by Dr. S.P. Anchuri. He has complimented on your presentation, excellent presentation. Is there any additional care to be taken if you are going to use precast foundations?
So far, I know don't use precast foundation. Some of my friends used it. There are precast companies very nicely doing precast piles and even precast pad footings. The joint is very, very important. How we are joined with the foundation and the column and the grade beam. So those joint we have to be very careful. You ensure the joint is 100% intact. Okay, if it is 100% intact, there is no issues.
Another question by Mr. Bhaskar Arumugam: how to avoid flooring damage due to settlement after 5 years?
Don't use swelling vulnerability of soil. If there is a swelling vulnerability in the soil, don't use that type of soil. If there is no choice, sometimes you have no choice. Because sometimes available soil is a very far distance. Authorities don't allow transport soil from one place to other place. So a lot of such field difficulties are there. In this condition, you mix the soil. It's very simple. Quarry dust is very easily available material. So if it is a clay soil, you mix 50% clay soil, 1/3 quarry dust, and 1/3 quarry dust plus another few amount of small gravels or the colloquially called chips or 6 mm jelly. Okay, mixed together with pour some lime. Okay, then definitely the soil will not go for moisture change. So it will be within limit. And if there is a chance of settlement, if you still apprehend, on the PCC, you put a mesh, GI mesh or a MS mesh, and put out 2 inches concrete, stucco plastering like that, granulithic flooring. Then you can avoid floor sinking.
What about Mr. Radhakrishnan has put a question? What about foundation at different level in hillside construction?
It's a very difficult question, sir. I already explained. Yes, the IS code gives there is a pressure bulb like that, like this. But in some places, it comes means you got to take care of lateral earth pressure. You got to take care of moment resistance. Okay, so that is very meticulous topic. Very simple.
You have already covered a couple of them.
Very simple is, if it is a width of foundation, B, at least you go away next foundation 2 times B. Okay, then there is a rare chance of pressure bulb overlaps. Okay, so that is the easiest way, thumb rule way, but that has to be very meticulously designed in hilly areas.
Mr. Rajendra Prabhu had a question. Pedestal is also provided mainly to reduce the height of slender column to prevent buckling of column, or it's provided to convert a long column to short column?
Long column to short column is the superstructure issues. Mostly shallow foundations. In deep foundation, we have no issues because we rest the columns on the pile cap. But the issues comes in shallow foundations. Normally 1 to 2 meters is the depth. Maximum 3 meters is the depth. So if you give a 300 mm size of column, after PCC and footing thickness, your width to height ratio is less than 8 or 9. So anyway, you are going for a short column only. Very rare case you go for long column instead of foundations. That condition also you can go for pedestal, but that IS 456 recommendation should not be violated. So square root of A1 by A2 should not be greater than 2, and the punching shear stress, that calculations and one-way shear stress calculations, instead of increasing thickness of, because the foundation size is large, 3 meter by 3 meter foundation may come. If you increase us to even 3 inches, the consumption of cement is more. I'm sorry, it is the concrete is more. Not only cement, the concrete is more. So to optimize it, whether you can increase the thickness of pad or give a pedestal, which is economical. In that case, you may go for pedestal also. And the third case is avoiding a long column effect.
How to fix a, this is by Mr. Syed Muhammad Haidar. He says how to fix a different settlement of a house if the house is surrounded by other houses from all sides and excavation is not possible. Very tricky one.
Very tricky. It is like people are surrounded by 7 strips around him. The batsman has to play. So anyway, the batsman has to play, because in case of there is people think only pile foundation is possible only for soil bearing capacity is poor. Not like that. Better go for even auger, hand auger pile. You need not excavate. Okay, if there are nearby foundations are there, if you excavate then only there is a problem of sliding. You may go for screw piles or hand auger piles in the boundaries, and then you design the pile cave for additional moment. Okay, you can escape this issue very easily. Come out of this and make a hit.
Okay. Thank you, sir. That was a very practical solution. In fact, you have combined practical aspects as well as theoretical aspects very nicely, and you have given a very nice presentation. A lot of compliments from a lot of professionals. In fact, Professor BSc Rao has also complimented, and he has said excellent and comprehensive lecture. Thank you so much. Yes.
All credits goes to my gurus, Professor Chokalingam, Professor Stalin, and all my friends, Professor Dr. Ayodhiraman, Muthukumaran. So I have a lot of structural and geotechnical professor friends. I did a lot of mistakes also. I deliberately said. When I was studying BE, most of my arrears are in structural engineering only. So, I fine-tuned, I rehabilitated myself. I rehabilitated myself in BE onwards. So after I come out of college, still I am keeping touch with my professors. So keeping in touch with my professors is my career success so far. So I insist our fellow engineers, keep in touch with your professors. Okay, everyone need not know everything. So it is very easily have a cup of coffee and then discuss with professor. You say, you refer that book, this is available. So like that, I develop my knowledge. So I advise my fellow engineers also go along with that. Thank you very much. Thanks for all your compliments. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, and thanks ACCEI Chennai Center, the chairman, the secretary, and the treasurer who also joined. And in fact, we are very fortunate to have very good sessions when we collaborated with ACCEI across, like ACCEI Goa Center, ACCEI Hyderabad, ACCEI Chennai, ACCEI Bangalore, Mysore. So most of the webinars that we have conducted, the 78 webinars, I think most of them we have conducted in collaboration with ACCEI centers only. So thanks all of them, and thank you, sir, for having joined us in spite of your busy schedule. So all the best, and we will stay in touch. Thank you so much for your wonderful presentation, and I'm sure that it will be useful to all the professionals. And especially students would love to hear this. So what we have done is that we would also be giving them a YouTube download will be there, so the students can always listen to that and make the subject very interesting. And since you have really made the subject very interesting and thought-provoking, that is very important. So thank you so much, sir. Thank you.
Thank you.
So we sign off from today's webinar.